This in the chat to mark the beginning. Let's see if we're coming through on Twitch, bada bing bada boom, and on YT. I believe so. All right. Before we get started, I want to give a special thanks to the people who joined on Patreon the last couple of days. It's been a while, and that really gave me a bit of a motivational boost. So that's Arsene Grinnick, David Vance, and Andrew Waimholt, who joined in, well, yesterday. All three of you guys. Really appreciate it, you know. And just before that was Alf Nielsen on the 4th and Kenneth Fairchild on the 1st. Really appreciate that, and it keeps me going. Hey, Blobs! Ah, cool. What time is it over there right now? All right. I've been struggling to get my brain back into this. I've spent the first 3 days of the week fixing some major bugs and then working on the API. And the last 3 days I've been wanting to mentally prepare for the stream, but I just was kind of bouncing off the subject and just built more stuff for the API instead. Hey, Chameleon! Alright, so today, 9 a.m. Oh, wow. Early. Here it is almost 6. So, yeah, that's why I'm doing the evening Sunday streams, just to get a bit of overlap for the Sunday morning crowd. Now, if I recall, last time I realized the tool, I was working, or I was thinking about extracting the tool, the color tool, into its own tool object. Because the original 4 tools weren't separate tools like the letter tool and the pen tool and stuff, and so they weren't going through the API. And I was adding the multicolor stuff as a feature, which doesn't have the same access to the same API as the tool. Now, the color is a tool, so I feel like it would be better served if all of that code would be a proper tool. But of course, that means I have to do some work first to move the existing color tool into the tool format. And, you know, I don't have a plugin API, so this is sort of unsupported, unofficial, partially done. But by doing this, obviously, I'll find flaws with the API and improve it, hopefully, and make, you know, future improvements and external usage of this API more possible. So that's the last thing I did in the last stream, I believe. Now, this is obviously not the functionality of the color tool, and a lot of the functionality is actually baked into the underlying engine. So it's more of a separation of UI versus functionality. Let me just refresh this here. Oh, and that's the one thing I want to do. And the second thing I'd like to do is to kind of come up with a reasonable base color palette. So the idea of this second palette right now is to have 9 fully distinct colors for the kind of puzzles where you want to color 9 distinct digits, right? And right now you see I can, like, the green and the blue are not super distinct, and we have like a pink and a maroon and a red. So what I would like to do is come up with 9 colors that you can, any 2 colors side by side, have plenty of contrast. Might not be super easy, but at least it's something I want to get started on. And I'll probably don't want to separate the shades on the buttons. I probably want to place them close to each other so I don't run in the mistake of thinking, oh, you know, I don't notice that these 2 blues are similar, let's say, but then obviously they might appear side by side over here, right? And then suddenly the 1 and the 9, for example, might not look good together, right? So we actually kind of want a puzzle where we have like every pair of colors represented on a button. So how does it even work? We have 9 colors across. Let me draw that out quickly. So if we have the colors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops. Wait. 1. Nope. Oh. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff broken because I haven't actually finished creating the tool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So how would... And then 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 and 1. Mentally, I'm just trying to think, if I do this, and that's all 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'll do the same thing across, right? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that should give me all 81 pairs of colors, including the diagonal, each color paired with itself. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually visually super useful. To be honest, I don't know if I want to change the existing colors. So probably what I would want to do is only slightly tune the existing palette, the first page, because we have 3 pages now. And for people who are wondering, the demo that I showed, I'm not actually going to have 6 palettes that you can change willy-nilly, because one of the problems will be if you don't have the colors that you see somebody else use, you're going to kind of struggle, right? So probably what's going to happen is we're going to have the first palette, which is going to be the classic colors, and we might tune them to improve them. Then we'll have one palette specifically for having 9 distinct colors, and then one palette for maybe some specialist use, let's say the odd even colors and the this colors and that colors, or kind of 9 shades where, let's say 3 hues and 3 brightnesses, let's say red, green, blue, bright, medium, dark, for example, something like that. I don't know, like a utility palette, right? And in the future, I would like to consider being able to submit, like, override one of those palettes with custom colors from the puzzle itself. So the puzzle setter could say, hey, this is a coloring puzzle. It's hiding a picture. I'm going to give you the colors for the picture, and it's going to be pink roses on green leaves or whatever, right? But let's not get sidetracked, because that's going to be a never-ending thing. So probably the initial release, I'm going to finish the tool, and then have a very sort of simple, primitive way of editing colors via JSON, and then kind of make maybe a competition. Let people build palettes and then submit them or something. Have an easy way of sharing the colors, because I'm not a specialist on colors, and and there's been a lot of people have been trying to suggest color blind and accessibility palettes, and I think when you don't have that disability, it's very hard, or you don't have experience in the field, it's very easy to make mistakes there, and it's not something I want to do. So that's definitely something where I want to get feedback from actual users. But before we do all of that, I want to do 2 things. Sorry, the volume here in my ears is a bit, there's something wrong with some wires loose somewhere, because I'm touching things, and yeah, it crackles and I lose stereo and stuff. This microphone is getting old. I've had it 6 years now, I think. All right, so step 1 is to continue building the actual tool object. And then one of the things I also want to do is I want to reclaim usage of the 10th color, because we have 0 through 9. And currently the 10th color is basically more or less doubled up on the delete key. And that's kind of embedded deep in the engine. And that's definitely something I got to get rid of. So I want to run it as a 10th color. And in the default palette, that 10th color will just be transparent, a fully transparent color. But in the other palettes, it could literally be a 10th color. And the transparent color can be then used for flashing, right? So before we get started, actually, let me figure out how I was using that color. So, key handlers, button handlers. So let's have a quick look how the colors are being applied, right? So when you're pressing a button, it all goes through do whatever. I'm gonna have to expand this to here. So we have the do handle digit something something do press digit, right? So do press digit is what happens. I think it doesn't matter if we're coming from a button press or a key press. Now, if I press 0 here, we got a 0. And if I press this here, we got a 0, right? So the delete is being handled elsewhere. Now, I don't know if it's being handled all the way on the cell level where the color is being assigned. And there's something wrong. These should be... the indenting changes in this browser. Every couple of versions it changes, and then nothing works the way I want it. All right, so we are in the colors, and I don't know if... Yeah, you see, I think this is where I'm handling the 0 as a special case. So, toggle color. Right. So here it basically just applies clear color when we have a 0. If I put a 0 here, it comes to here, and then it hits clear colors. Now, this might be problematic because this might be run on every cell on startup, and then the console warn gives us what's the word? Gives us stack traces. So we might be putting thousands of stack traces, right? It's not too bad. So let us reset this puzzle, first of all. All right, so we got 3 full clears. And this happens because we are initializing an empty puzzle, then we're decoding the data, and then I think there's I don't actually know where the 3rd clear comes from. We have load puzzle, reset puzzle, clear puzzle. Load puzzle, convert, create puzzle, reset puzzle. And the first one, I said there were 3, right? So load puzzle twice. One comes from start, 4938. I think it probably does a clear when it initializes the puzzle, and then a second clear after. This is the sort of stuff I've been pending for a long time to actually fix because it's just unnecessary work it's doing. Let me see. Reset puzzle, clear puzzle, load CTC puzzle. So you see, we have load CTC puzzle at 2. Okay, so let's have a look at 2027 and 2028. So we have convert puzzle and load puzzle. And I'm gonna open a second one. So we have convert puzzle, and we have .load puzzle, I think. So if I refresh these, we have a convert puzzle here, and then a load puzzle. So the load puzzle does another reset. Why would it do a second reset? Let me think. Or more accurately, why would the convert puzzle do a reset if we're doing it in the load puzzle? I don't think we ever do a load without doing a convert first. So let's find all places where convert puzzle is being called in this code base. So 3 places. In load CTC puzzle, in convert puzzle, the function. Where is this being called? If ever. Without the full stop. I don't think this is being used anywhere. I think this is like a helper thing that I'm using elsewhere. So convert puzzle should not reset. Now, does it depend on the puzzle being reset in the first place? So after the convert puzzle call here, 3137, 3137. So we're doing a create puzzle. So the question is, does it actually make sense to call create puzzle? Because the reason this was split was initially I thought, this is all legacy bollocks, that I would convert CTC format to an internal format. And this was doing it, except the internal format never materialized, so everything runs through this thing. So, is there actually ever a load puzzle where the convert puzzle doesn't happen before? Maybe that's the more interesting question. So we have a load puzzle here. After the create puzzle. Load compact. It is not being called in SCF puzzles. Ooh, okay. And load CTC puzzle. So we have load puzzle here. And I have to distinguish load puzzle on the app and load puzzle on the puzzle object. And maybe I should get rid of of the one on the app just to keep, because the only difference is that it does a resize. And that's only relevant if it's being called from elsewhere. So we have load CTC puzzle, which does convert and then load. Then we have puzzle.load puzzle. So we have the app load puzzle here. So we probably want to get rid of this one. And these are the sort of changes I'm actually not super happy about doing here in this branch, because it's going to be merge issues down the line. Because then basically we're just going to replace this with puzzle create puzzle, load puzzle, resize, and then we just return the puzzle, load puzzle, and then resize. So the only difference between these is the resize. So if I do this, get rid of that and get rid of that, and then dot load puzzle equals, so there should only be one now, and everything should still work. I might break some external stuff, but we'll deal with that. And now we'll look back into convert puzzle. Does this need to clear? Now it does set some things up like puzzle ID. But other than that, does this really... I think it's because of the rows and columns setup. Because some of these functions probably reference them. Like they're depending on the rows and columns being already set. I'm not sure though. Ideally, this would not, it should just transform the information. It should not reference the existing puzzle, the in-memory puzzles object at all. I know this is all like internal stuff, and to be honest, I'm just kind of going through it to remind myself because it's a lot of complex stuff and a lot of details and such. Wait, yeah, we don't want to look at dialogues. Like this should kind of be, there's a lot of special cases and things that like all the feature handling should be kind of extracted, I think, separately. So these are all the feature extraction stuff. But I don't know if any of this actually references the puzzle object. So if I skip create puzzle here, is that reasonable? Or if I extract create puzzle outside of this workflow. So create puzzle sets up the... So create puzzle doesn't get called here, apparently, because it sets up the grid. Create puzzle equals. So we have a create puzzle here. Where is this being called? Create puzzle, handle click more. Handle click more. The frick? Handle click more. Where's this happening? More. Download replay. What the heck? Where am I here? Replays. Oh, never mind. I don't actually care about that right now. Create puzzle. Forget that. This is the one I removed. And then this is the one. So load compact does its own. So it feels to me like it should be outside of this flow. Now create puzzle. Create puzzle here is not asynchronous. But there won't be any harm in putting it into the flow. I think it makes sense to put it outside here. So, so create puzzle. So this should happen outside of convert puzzle. So wherever this is being called, and it shouldn't be very many places. So we have this weird function here. We probably should do app.createPuzzle. Except here, that's why I put it in there. So that's the one option, is to move it out of here and have a higher level function take care of this. And the other option would be would be to mark the puzzle somehow so I know if we still need to run through create or not. So for example, so let's say, how would we even determine that the current puzzle we're loading is the puzzle that we created for, right? Let's see, app, create puzzle. So create puzzle here gets called, wait, that should get called, no? Oh. So create puzzle should get called, by the way, can you see the, let me make this a bit bigger. Let me just bring this down here for now. We'll deal with the colors in a bit. Sure, it's all readable. So, create puzzle happens here. And then it happens again. Wait, no, it doesn't happen. Wait. Oh, clear colors does not happen from create puzzle. It happens from reset puzzle. Ah, wait a second. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree. So clear puzzle probably is getting called again. Because then we can potentially have something like a dirty flag, right? So we can just say, when we're creating the puzzle, we're running reset puzzle, we can do this dot puzzle dot is dirty equals false. All right, and then we could also say reset puzzle. I'll do something like this. Ah, wait. We are in the puzzle. And then we could just skip the reset, right? Then obviously the problem is then we have to set the dirty flag wherever things are not such. Let me think. What would make the puzzle dirty? I mean, technically, if nothing has happened in these stacks, that would be an indication that it's clean. The problem is if we load a new puzzle on a blank puzzle, then it would have to be set to dirty, except maybe not, because we'd have a force argument. Okay, so because we have these stacks, right? We have the replay stack, we have the undo stack, and we should have the redo stack and the state stack. I think if they're all empty, can they ever be empty from a game that has been placed? That's the question, right? So if I do this, and I do something, right? And then I undo everything, right? And now I do a reset. Is dirty is false. Replay stack. Yeah, so the replay stack will have stuff in it. So, we can do a force true here. And then we can potentially calculate the dirty flag, right? So either force is true or any of these stacks, right? Or dot length greater than 0. Either this or that or that. Replace stack, undo stack, or redo stack. And then if we just do this, and here we can output the force. Like this, right? Is dirty is true, is dirty is false, is dirty is false. And then we can just say, if not is dirty, return. Right? And now those calls should only happen these 81 times and not again. But if I now do this and now I reset, our isDirty comes back as true, and now it resets. Now, if I reset again from here, isDirty will come back as false. So if I reset twice, oh, okay, and then it breaks. Ah. Whoop. Like this. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's just, I'm trying to prevent this code executing multiple times, right? The start time, is that an issue? If I reset here. Yeah, that won't... that's the problem, because it also resets the timer. Let's see. If we're doing the reset at this point, let's clear this. I reset. What happens besides the reset? It goes through restart. So I have a feeling that the timer should be happening in restart. So because a restart actually probably should be happening here anyways. Except it doesn't. Restart. Because we should be triggering our start anyways. Is there a start being triggered elsewhere? Yes. It's being triggered from resume. But I think that's the start on the clock. Restart puzzle. And then from here. I think the problem is the reset might happen too early. I was thinking, what if I call restart puzzle from here? All right, you know what? I want to fix this, and it might be something like this, but I don't want to fix it right now. I think I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole, and it's just gonna slow me down, and it's not actually gonna do what we need to do right now. So this is probably something I should do separately, properly, with a bit more thought, and maybe some refactoring in a separate commit without mushing it in together with all this stuff that I'm already doing. So let's just return all these to how they were. Like that. Oh, by the way, let's make sure this will loop so I don't get distracted. Clear puzzle info. Make sure all of these are back to how they were. And this doesn't have a true in it. All right. So that should go back to how it was. So let's have a look at the color stuff separately. So that's on 1016. So yeah, right now it's going to hit 81 times extra, but we're just going to have to get past that. 11022. Nope. Wait a second. Where am I? I did some changes here. Yeah, you know what? Let's get rid of these changes as well. Let's just... That's... doesn't belong here. So underneath restart puzzle, we had this. And then at 3845 or something like that, we had this.load puzzle over here, and we didn't have that. Right? All right, and then we kind of can get rid of those as well. 3, 1, 2, 3. I know it seems silly. I should have just reverted the changes, because in the end, like, there were fewer things that I wanted to keep than I changed. But you know, all right. Sometimes manually undoing things also kind of reminds you of what you've done, and can be helpful from that perspective. So the question is, if I remove this, is that all I need? So let's first of all make sure there's a color 0. There is a color 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Except, is this the color? It is the color 0, isn't it? And currently color 0 is a pure white. Interesting. So if I get rid of this, is that because I feel like I've had other special behaviors around the 0, and I don't know if that's... So if I put a 3 here, and then I put a 0, I get a pink. Now, why would that be? So let's have a look at our color. Are we actually rendering color 0s? That's the question. Render content, candidates, colors, color scheme. So render color. What do we got? We got val. We got vals. No, we don't need vals here. We have class name. And then we have the color scheme color. All right, let's make sure we don't have too much noise in here. So if I put a 3, so and then a 0, color 0 magenta, color 3000, color 0 magenta, color 0 magenta, color 0 magenta. Is that something I implemented on the tool? It is. It is. Okay, sweet. So if I do this instead, or we can just make it a transparent white. I believe that's a transparent white. I did it exactly so to, and then we end up with something like this. So if I do a 3 and a 0, let's do it on something where, yeah. So the idea is that the 0 would be fully transparent. Now the colors are deeper than we had originally because I got rid of some of the alpha, so that's gonna come back in. So this might be all we need, maybe. So for now, let's just leave that in and see if that works as we're using it. And let's bring the color, the white transparent in as the color 0 as well on these. So white transparent would just be this. Actually, I'll do this. Now we want to actually go back to implementing this color tool here, this guy. So this is where it came, what was setting up the tool buttons for the color tool and all that stuff. So that should work the same way. Now, what we don't have here is all the other functionality. So if we compare it to something like the pen tool, which wasn't built with this new thing yet, with this new format yet. Let me just bring this over here. And we also have the letter tool with the CSS as a separate file. So what we might want to do then is bring in the colors via CSS, which might make them easier to edit as well. And then we want to see, okay, what we got here. Is enabled true. Now, the is enabled should start out as false. Right. So we have the name, color, which in the future I want to refactor to color the American spelling. So then it's a tool. We have a long and a short. And we have the temp key set up. And then we'll have a bunch of... Now the switching for the letter tool is much more complex, obviously. We won't have those problems. We'll have init and done. So let's just bring in a few of these helper functions. Just to orient ourselves a little bit. Then we have done as well. Because I don't even remember exactly when these execute. So if I clear all this and run this, and then go here, hide menu, reset button pad, show menu, update button pad, yeah. Handle tool, enter. Now in it, if I go, because the tool, the color tool, you can't actually disable. So init and done might actually never execute. Right. So I think this now means we actually want to move the multi-palette feature into the tool, the button tool, right? So can I just lift all these functions over? Is that what I'm gonna do? So you have quite a few. Now the hide menu, show menu stuff doesn't really happen anymore. And I don't know how much of this I want to refactor before I try to move it, or just move it right away. And if we're looking at, so letter tool, pen tool. Pen tool, we actually have quite a bit of finagling about, right? Because if we're switching to the pen tool, let's enable the pen tool. We're actually changing buttons here as well. So the pen tool might be a good guide for that sort of stuff. So handle create state, handle apply state. So this is actually, and this is something else we need to look into. The pen tool does its own additional saving of additional state in a puzzle. Because I'm not sure if which palette we're on is actually going to be significant. It no, it won't be. Not the same way as for the pen tool. All right. This is going to get complex and messy very quickly. Mostly because it's going to reveal my mistakes in the past. All right. So here we have tool enter and tool exit. And this is where we're setting up all this stuff, all the buttons and so on. And that's basically all we're doing here. So we had this show menu thing, but that's actually not what's going to happen anymore. We have the create palette button. And let's see. Let me actually transfer some of this stuff over into the tool. And what we're going to do then is we're basically going to disable the tool. The feature, in fact, it's off right now, and then bring the functionality back via the tool setup, right? So we're gonna have attach element settings on, handle toggle. No, this one we don't need. Handle tool enter. We don't need that one either. So really just that one, huh? Well. We have handlers here. These are handlers. And then we have the create palette button function. Are we doing this anywhere else? No. So that's just part of show menu. Now show menu is actually, when does show menu happen? Handle tool enter. So basically on handle tool enter, we're just going to set this up, and on handle tool exit, we're just going to remove it. All right. All right. So we have set up, and I'm just going to warn that in here. Similar to these guys. And I'm just going to simplify that to this. And we're going to do that on the palette toggle as well. And why is the indent different here? All right, something like that. All right, we're going to get rid of that extra logging here. I think it was round line 1000 something something. Like that. So we come here and we come here. We get handle tool enter, and this should now do similar things to what show menu did, which is these three things, except we're not showing a menu anymore. So we'll do that, and we don't need that. And then does this access anything else? Set page. Yeah, let's get rid of that for a sec and see if that just generates the button for us. Okay, it does, but I think we also need a little bit of CSS. So instead of just, do I want to inject the CSS? The advantage of injecting these CSS is the color palettes are going to be pretty dynamic anyway. So I don't know if putting them in. Now, I'm going to use the style sheet mechanism that I used for the pen tool as well. So down here, similar to how the letter tool gets its own CSS, the color tool also get its own CSS, like that. And this is gonna get saved as this. Just gonna stick that down here for now. And now this is gonna have to have all the little shenanigans to move the buttons into position, which is basically mostly this stuff here. I think I can just copy that out for now. Down here. And then that should be included automatically on... Ew. Okay. Apparently not. I think one of the problems is that where that styling gets added. So let's have a quick look at that. So setting, oh, because it's, okay, yeah, so we don't want that actually to be limited to setting multi-palette now. So this is just purely on this tool, right? And I think that's the only thing actually. So then it okay, so then the problem is we're not removing the button, right? And how did we remove the button prior? I guess that will be under hide menu. Hide menu, reset button pad. Query selector remove. So on exit, we're just gonna do this. That's our button. And reset button pad. What is that? Set button pad. I'm gonna bring these two in here for now. I think they might be fairly complex. All right, I'm just gonna dress these up a little so I know when they're gonna get called, because they're obviously gonna have a lot of missing references right now. Oh, in fact, reset button pad doesn't actually do anything. So for now, what was this doing before? Don't know. Don't know if we need this. So for now, let's just do this. And then these. Oh, okay. It's actually changing the colors of the buttons themselves. Yeah, okay. So we can actually skip that. I don't know at what point we would want to reset though. So if I go here now and then go here, that works. All right. And then here we should be drawing the tool button, which currently isn't happening, right? I wonder why. I must have disabled something. Handle palette tool button create element. Where does the button come from? So create palette button, right? Insert before create palette button. As far as I can tell, this doesn't no such thing as creating a palette button. Ah, I think this is all happening in set page. Now I don't like the terminology set page. Should we call it set palette? Because originally the idea was that basically you have a singular palette with 3 pages and we're changing. All right, I'm going to stick with it for now. Now is not the time to worry about renaming things, I think. So we're going to have something like, and we're just going to call these actions, I guess. Actions. Set page. And actions, I don't like the terminology because I'm using that very specifically in the game for other things, but you know. And for now, I'm gonna hide this. And current page is being initialized to set to 0. And set palette is initialized to this. Okay, I think we can just hardcode that in here for now. For testing purposes, right? And then under set page, right? I'm just going to do this. Page %s, right? Now handle page toggle. Why do we accept args here? I don't think we're using that. So we're going to remove that. And everything breaks. All right. We can deal with this. Tool color is not defined. This.setPalette is not a function. SetPage. Okay, so setPalette hasn't been moved over yet. SetPage, setPalette. So I try to skip that step. Of course, it wasn't gonna let me. And setPage, update color scheme, and returns palette. All right. Update palette button is not a function. Update palette button. Handle palette. Oh, did I not? Oh, update button pad. I thought update palette button I already moved over. So that goes above reset, color pad, and do we call create palette icon? All right, create palette icon. This goes above create palette button. Create palette icon. Render salvage, get color paths. Okay. Get color paths. Do we... I think we don't need that anywhere here. So this can go under... I'm going to put that on the tool. And then here we're going to do under helpers, I guess. And we're just going to do... We're going to put that on the class. All right. I think that should work. And it does. Okay. All right. So we have a create palette button. Doesn't actually create a palette button. Fair enough. And then set page is currently not executing. All right. So that should now get a set page after the create palette button. Except it doesn't because I did not undo that. And now we have a button. And if I go away and come back, and that even works. All right. Now the drawing, I don't, yeah, because, okay. So we're not updating the button pad yet. And that is happening where? So create palette button, show menu, create palette button, handle palette toggle. And then here under handle palette toggle, set palette, set page, handle palette toggle. This should change the page. Update button pad. Update button pad. Ah, here we go. That one isn't set up yet. So if I now do this, we're hitting update button pad and this stuff isn't happening. All right. But now this isn't actually missing anything, right? Can I just do that now? No. Get color value. Get color value. Get color value. Does this need something from locally? No. So that should be on the class. Page palette. Ah. Let's put, so tool, we have helpers, c.colorVals, get color paths. So let's just do that for now. Get rid of that. Now these are on the prototype because they need access to the current palette. Do we though? Yes, I guess we do. So we have a get color here. And then we should basically have this get color value. Something like that. Okay. Now if I put a 0 here, Okay. So a lot of these we won't need anymore. I think that's actually most of the functionality transferred. I feel like I didn't transfer everything, so there's probably a bunch of stuff missing. But we'll find that soon enough, I imagine. Reset button pad, for example, doesn't seem to have any code in it. We're also not remembering stuff right now, so that's something we need to consider. These I don't think are happening. I'm going to leave them in. At least we get notified. Create an update. Date and create. Reset button pad. Update button pad. Update button pad. Where's that coming from? 230. Ah, wait a second. That's in the other file. 230. So this file is still active even without the feature currently in place, huh? Looks like the palette button has only one rounded corner top right. The palette button right now is you know, I'm just, because that's where the transparent color is basically. Because I'm just filling the whole thing. I'm not I didn't worry about making the icon pretty or anything like that because I'm generating it in code. Let's not worry about these things. Attach element, add feature 230. So we're under here. Why is update button pad executing? This is happening. So feature multiplier is still being loaded basically. All right, let's see if we can, if we don't need it anymore now. Features, features, feature, multi-palette. And does it still work? No, because we're not actually updating the palette itself yet. So, and that was called, what was it called? Update color scheme. Do we even have the code for that here? No, in fact, we've just hidden it. Okay, so update color scheme goes under update palette button. Update color scheme. Oh, no. Don't know why that has this stuff here. Update color scheme. Don't think there's anything new in here. So go here. Update color scheme happened. Okay. So something is not quite right yet. Color scheme. Color scheme. What does that look like right now? So the color scheme is not getting updated. Let's see. Pages, get color value. So if we do a little bit of machinations here with page, color value, val, and color. 1 second. All right. Color scheme is not defined. Type of color scheme is not defined. So I think what's happening is that the tool is being initialized earlier at the point the color scheme doesn't exist yet. Because we're not waiting for the game to be ready. So we need to update the color scheme at a later stage, despite everything, right? So apparently toolColor init gets run. So maybe at the point of toolColor init, we can actually set it up. And I don't know, I need a group for all the API stuff. API, let's just call it tool API, right? So we have handle tool enter, handle tool exit, we have init and done, and we have let's just give me a proper collapse here. Yeah, we have this. That's also part of the tool API, right? And I think that's it for now. So under init, we should be able to do whatever we did initially here. Set page. So we should be able to do this dot that set page, this dot current page. And that should refresh the color scheme. Palette button not found. Set page 0. Set page 0. So this comes from init. This comes from handle tool enter. Set page. And then set page does update palette button, update button pad. And update color scheme happens where? In set palette. Set palette. Let me think. Enter at the point of enter tool, everything should be ready. So let's see. I'm just curious if color scheme is ready at when init is called. Probably yes. So we can do an update color scheme here. Now, I don't know if I want to do an update color scheme on set page. Probably not. This is probably good enough, right? Now, if we start here, it doesn't remember that. Does not remember that. Let me think. In the other tool, such as the pen tool, we have color values, right? And we want to remember them. So tool pen, we have something like, let's just look where we're looking at data, set data, and so on. And line mode change. So set page, tool color page. Palette. Okay, so we're just doing both in one go. All right. And then dot get data. Handle tool enter. Okay, so this comes out of on handle tool enter. We'll just get the current state. Handle tool enter. And then we'll do something like this. And we are gonna write out. There we go. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do palette. Get data palette and current page. Now I just want to see if the if this gives us the entire palette, right? And then here we're gonna do this dot palette to compare. Are these two objects the same thing? That's what I want to know. All right, so go somewhere else. Come here. We have, this is the current palette, and this is what's coming out of our storage. And if we look at our local storage for the color tool color palette, it looks like we have it all here. It should be all right. It's not gonna be a lot of data. So do I want to reset the palette here? I guess so, because if the user can change the palette, where's the palette gonna live, right? Basically, yeah. So as the user changes palette, this is basically where it's going to live. Of course, has to be, right? We don't have files or anything like that. So then what we're going to do is this dot set palette, and I'm just going to take it from here. So it's going to be this dot set palette, and then this dot set page, current page, and we've got to make sure the button exists first. Then we'll do these two things, and then that's how it's going to end up, right? So now if I change the palette, wait for it to save, refresh, we're not on the right place. Current page 0. This palette, current page 0. So palette current page. So let's do set page, set data. And I have to be careful because we are pulling it out, we're assigning it, and then we're returning the previous page, which is not what we want, right? So we probably want to be doing this here. Oh. Actually, what we want to be doing is this. We do the assignment first, then we pull them out, because then I can use this syntax basically. All right, so if I change this, now current page is 1. If I refresh, current page should be 1. Palette, current page is 1. Okay, we changed. Now it's 1. We refresh. All right, so basically what happens is we're setting it up somewhere else. We're initializing it somewhere else to the wrong value. Let me think. Basically, set page is happening early from here. So after that, this is actually saving, this is overwriting the previous data. So we don't actually want to do that. So how do we avoid the same thing happening here? This is a good question. Set data, so set selected color. So the only place this gets set is here. So this does not happen on initialization, right? So we don't need to initialize this here like that. So first of all, let's skip that. That means when we start up, we don't actually have a palette, which isn't good, right? Because we actually need the palette. Can't destructor property ID of palette as it is undefined. So update init add tool. So init happens, but at this point we don't have the palette yet. Yeah, actually, do we want to do this on tool enter? Probably not. We want to do this on init, right? So maybe this is what we need to do. We need to move this up to here. So this is init. Now in init, we got to make sure the button exists. Right? I don't know. When do we want to create the button? No, probably not, actually. Forget that. Forget that. We want to make sure the right palette is set and the right page is set. Now, those things do update the buttons. We have to see if that breaks, because on init, we might not actually have the tool information available. But it does seem to... The important thing is that the colors are set before we're rendering the puzzle. Palette button not found. That's fine. Update color scheme. Page not found. Set page 0. Set page. So we are here now. And the button is missing. So this is where we're creating the button. Yeah. And then set page is actually there to update the button. All right. Go to the second page. Go back. Reset button pad doesn't work. Fair enough. Go back here. Current page 000. Change it to 1. Go here. Clear. Refresh. Current page 1. When does it get to set to 0? Here. Why? Init 175. Init. Here, current page is 1. Oh, this is current page. All right. Go back here, change to page 1. We are on page 1. Go here, refresh. Current page. Why does it get set to 0 though? 1, 3, 5, 4. 1 init 175. Set palette. Oh, because set palette also sets the current page. You know what? That's not necessary. There's no reason why we need to change the page we're on when we're setting the palette, right? So we're on page 2 now. 202. Now I'm still curious where this current page 0 comes from. This is on set page set data 137. Set page data current page. Current page. So set page 0 here. Init 174. This it still does. It still does this. Do we need to run set palette after set page after set palette? Why am I doing that? Because it's the thing that updates all the buttons. I feel like the two things need to be combined. Because in theory, I could set the page first. Or I could literally just do this, right? Like that. And then I wouldn't have to do this at all. And then just set the palette. And now we go here. And yeah, and we never go to the wrong page in the first place. Now, the reset button pad here is not doing the right thing. Now, remember we had some issues with that last week, but we fixed it. Except there's no code here. So we had code here, but it was not running. So reset button pad. So I probably planned to fix this, but I didn't. So one of the problems, I think, is that the buttons are all willy-nilly weird stuff, right? Willy-nilly weird stuff. Update button pad. Should we not... Maybe I should generalize this, right? Maybe I should have a generic function that I just pass in the 10 values I want to be on the buttons. So if we try something... all right, first of all, whoops. First of all, make this a bit bigger. Reload this, go on the color tab, reload. Right. So we have init. We have set palette once, update color scheme set page. Update color scheme a second time from... So init, update color scheme gets called twice. Probably unnecessarily, right? So we have... update color scheme in set palette and again under init. Yeah, so we don't need that actually. Set palette is the only thing we need to do. So set palette, update color scheme, set page. Set page happens again on handle tool enter. On handle tool enter. Do we want to set page on handle tool enter? I suppose we do. Yeah, that's fine. All right, that's fine. And then we can get rid of some of the spam. The spam, that's all working now. We're going to get rid of the set data spam here as well. And now we need to just generalize our little function here that just updates the button pad, right? So right now we have update button pad. Because it it doesn't just update the buttons, it also updates the styles for the buttons with the colors. Although that's only necessary for the color tool, right? So reset button actually does make sense. So if I go here, we got the reset button. We have the 10 buttons. So we can kind of do this and this. And I think I was starting to work on this and I just didn't finish. We go here, we go here. We have 10 buttons. Then we can do... We have a button. We have a button val. And we have just the val. And I don't know if we need to access the CSS rules here. So each button here now potentially has the completely wrong values. We have the titles and we have the indexes. And the indexes, I think, might be reliable. I think the indexes might be reliable. I.e. they'll always be 1 through 0 through 9, with the only offset being that the 9 and 0 the 9 and the 0 swapped. So if I take the index, add 1 and modulus it by 10, right? Button.title. I get this. Go here and go here. And let's just do these in order in a singular line so we don't just end up with a bunch of anonymous symbols here. All right, so 0, 1, LL, and I clicked something. Oh, by the way, check out the Patreon if you don't mind. So we're looking at the first two. We want to match up this with the title. So if I do IDX +1 modulus 9 or 10. Is it modulus 10? We never reached the modulus, right? So it might have to be modulus 10 actually. And now they match up. Yeah. So this is our button numbers. Now the problem is that just what goes on the buttons? Not necessarily. One second. If I switch to the letters, how do we actually modify the buttons? Data value, title, 1, 2, 3, content ABC. Now, that's actually an interesting question. So for the letter tool, toggle mode, set letter mode, show hide letters, show hide letters. I'm guessing show hide letters is what's updating the buttons. So we take all the dot digit buttons here. Control buttons. So I think dot digit is actually what I want here. Input letter, introduction, value, letter map, dataset value. Now the problem is that's the value that's been changed. We could reverso mappo the data value, I think, as well, right? If I do get color, if I go page, if I do the color index, if I do this off button val, right? So we have index +1, and color index, which is not dependent on the position of the button. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to. It's just using the data value that I have modified, and I should know what it is, right? So I refresh this now, and I go here and I come back. The third value is the color index is also correct. All right. So what we need to do is, and val we don't actually care about at all. Where's val? Val's the last thing. Yeah, we don't care about that. So what we really need to do now, these, I don't know if we actually need to. Do we need to change these? Or can I just ignore these and just leave them in there? I don't know. Probably what we need to do here. Set this up to be the color index. I think that's all we need to do. Now if we go like this and go like this, that's fine. Now if we go here, we need to update the CSS rules as well, after all. CSS rules find rule. Ooh. Let's see. So we're here and come back here. We have 10 undefined CSS rules. If we go here and change to here, we have 10 undefined CSS rules. Shoot. And why is that? Why is that? If we go back to this, so we go here and we come back. Val is not defined. All right. We need color. I don't know if we need color. So we go here. So we are here. Come back here. Undefined CSS rules. But button val is 1, 2, 3. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fourth element. So it's the LMN, OPQ, RDST, and so on. And when we do it down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to output the button val and the CSS rule just to have a comparison. So I click this, right. We have the CSS rule. The button value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So we're doing a selection for this. Now it changes to this. Now val is what goes on the dataset value. So this should give us the thing. Now let's not change anything else. Val, color, val. Okay, forget this and forget this. Why? So we're here. Val is not defined. Reset. Why do we get a reset actually? Why do we get a reset? Handle tool exit. We get a. If I click here, do we get an exit and an enter? Ah, cool. That's actually not bad for testing, right? So clear that. We get an exit and we get an enter. Now on the exit, so on the enter, the selector text is this. For example, the L, the M, etc. And we should be looking for exactly those selector texts. Excuse me. So let's look at the before and afters. Or let's just look at the afters. And then here we're gonna say this is our comparison selector text. Right. Oh. What did I do now? It's okay. That was weird. So this is the selector text after the modification. Element OPQ, yada, yada, yada. Now if I click here. So for example, we're looking for, oh, wait, what? Tool color button, controls input button. Oh, wait a second. Gotta be careful. I think the problem is, yeah, this is wrong. We just want to change the styling for the tool. Nothing else. And yeah. So LM yada yada, and then we go here, and now we're getting back this stuff. Okay, now those styles currently reside in the main style sheet, but we might actually want to move them in here. Do I want to do that at the same time? Let's make sure this thing first that this thing works, right? So the problem right now is we're going back here, and now these styles mess with this stuff, right? So we need to reset these. Do we need to reset these? Come back here now. Yeah, it won't find them, right? So if I come here, it's changing them from whatever it was to this. And then when I leave, I need to change them back to match the data value, right? So selector text becomes tool color button val, and val is basically the color index, right? So we're just gonna make this a val. We're gonna make this val. Bada bing, bada boom. Val. Get rid of the cut button index. And this we don't change actually. Go here, go back, go here, go back, go here, go back, go here, change, go here, go here, go here. All right, I think that's it. And you can probably get rid of all of this. It's cool that we can modify the CSS rule like this. I'm not sure if I would like to rely on it though, because it feels like, I think at some point we're better off just putting the styles directly onto the buttons with JavaScript rather than modifying the CSS, right? But we're basically simulating having more than these 9 buttons here. Now, yeah. Now if I go here, reload, go here, we're on this palette, switch to here, go back, switch, put a 1 here, switch, put a 1 here again, switch, put a 1 here again, put a 0 to slash the whole thing, switch, another 0. Now that's the only problem is, if we put 0 transparent on all palettes, you can put 3 different zeros on it. So there might be something where if the color value matches exactly, that you cannot put 2 times the same color on a button. Because there's plenty of cases where you might want to have the same color on multiple pages of the color palette, such as transparent. You might want to have a transparent on each of the 3 pages, right? So, you know. Now, we don't need any of this. We don't need these. Do we need the palette here? Don't think so. ID, name, pages, current page. No, we don't need any of these. We need the styles and the CSS rules. And it's fine. I think it's fine to do this every time. Like, this only happens because these selectors, I think, are a little expensive. But I think this only happens on, you know, loading the tool, which doesn't happen often enough to be a problem, I think. So I think I can make these a little bit more final form here. Set page is super spammy. So we're going to change this to info. And we're actually going to get rid of it. All right. Get rid of these. Get rid of these. Don't need that. Info. Info. Get rid of these. Don't need that. Don't need these. Now done, I'm not actually sure when that happens. Not sure if that ever happens, actually. I think it happens when you remove a tool, maybe. Handle tool, enter. We don't need a set palette here because why not? We didn't change the palette, right? Okay. So we're eventually going to get to the point of also like, hey, where does the default palette come from? So we need some sort of initial palette that then gets overwritten with a local state. Handle tool, enter. You know what? I'm going to keep these as warns. Warn. And I'm going to hide them. Warn. I'm going to hide them. I'm going to... Actually, let's put that up for now. Let's leave the init and done there. Update color scheme, we can get rid of as well. Although, how often does that happen? That should only happen once, right? Well, it'll happen more. Let's leave that in for now, because that obviously is going to happen when we're actually changing the full palette, right? Now, one of the issues I have, okay, so we have 10 colors now. This button, though, is custom, right? So if this is not a 0, I don't think that button is being updated. So let's put a non... Oh, and the other problem right now is that if I change the palette here, it's not gonna get overwritten from the palette. You know what? I'm just gonna do this for now. I'm not gonna load the palette from the storage. And we're just gonna do this.palette equals, you know, or you know what? We're gonna do c.default palette. I'll do this for now. Get rid of that. And then here we're gonna do c.default palette. Excuse me, my nose is itching. It's my streaming allergy. Can it destructure property ID of palette as it is undefined? Default palette equals yada yada yada. Current page equals 0. Extruders are undefined. Palette is undefined. Set palette init. Add tool. Set palette init. Set palette init. Where's my set palette? Ah, here it is. Undefined. Why is it undefined? C.default palette. Default palette. Did I misspell that? Default palette. I completely misspelled that. Dyslexia, hurrah. Alright, so now we can mess around with testing what it would look like if instead of a hard, transparent, whatever, we're gonna do just a plain black. Number 3. Yeah, so this doesn't actually update right now. Yeah. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of shenanigans here. First of all, we're gonna have to move to updating 10 buttons. And the question is, why doesn't it update 10 buttons? I don't know. Let's find out. So I have a feeling the 10th button is handled specially somehow. 0 through 9. We have 10 buttons here, right? So what is going on with this button? 0 has... where does this, you know, little wavy transparent icon thing come from? And it's basically this one. Data value equals 0. Tool color button before. So why is that style not being updated? Is this not one of these styles? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get all the way down to 0. And 0 should become whatever, right? And it's updating background color on 0. And maybe that's exactly where the problem lies. So we go here. And we're updating this selector. Button, data value A before. But it also has a background image. So the background image overrides that. Now this thing if I copy this and find where the hell this lives. All right. So let's first of all, I think we can move these into our new tool style sheet. Right. Also, we can make sure this palette menu is not being injected anywhere. We might need it in the future, but right now, I don't even need it. Yeah, the palette button we still have, right? So this should still work. Nope, I completely destroyed it. How did I destroy it? Selector text. Selector text. Selector text. Can read properties of undefined. Reading selector text. Does that mean CSS rule is undefined? Oh, nope, nope. Double nope, triple nope. Where did we jump to? Don't want that. What's going on? So the CSS rule is not being found now. Now that's a little odd. It's okay. So does that mean this code executes before the CSS is loaded? Wait a second. How is that possible? That CSS is above toolpen.js, toolpen, toolcolor. Oh no, I put it below like an idiot. No, that's gotta go first. We need that styling by the time the color tool gets in there. All right. But still no can do. All right. What's going on here? Update color scheme init. So we cannot update the buttons. Update color scheme. Update button pad. At this point, buttons just don't exist yet, right? So node list is 0. So no, the buttons are there. Okay. Why is the CSS rule not found? Because we're not looking at the right style sheet anymore. Ah, god damn it. All right, yes. God, I think I'm so clever. Obviously, I'm not. So, we now no longer look for the style sheet that has this URL. We're just going to see what, yeah, we're gonna have to, we're gonna just let me see. Oh, man. Yeah. All right, so these are all the style sheets. We're looking for one that looks like tool color CSS now. Match. Oop. Stool color. No. Oh, holy God. No, not stool color. Jesus. Sorry about that. That's just a typo, I promise. All right, so I think that did the trick. Now, obviously, we need to do this. You know what? I'm gonna make a little helper function here. p.get CSS rules. So I don't have to do this in different places many times with the mistakes and yada, yada, yada. Now, style here is not used anywhere else. Okay, so what we're gonna do is it's just gonna return this as an area of rules, right? So then we're gonna do this dot get CSS rules, and that's gonna replace these two lines. All right, it's starting to come together. At least I haven't found any kind of major blockers where I say, oh, it's not gonna work. What we're still not updating the last button, but at least we're seeing the buttons again, and we're seeing the styles. So now we're probably gonna do this. Oh yeah, so before we were using the background image. Now, can I just use the background crop? I use the background prop and then, god damn it. Most places, if I double click something with a dash, it uses the dash as a line, as a word separator. Apparently not with the CSS color highlighting for some goddamn reason. So, no longer background. We're just gonna set the background property because that lets us do different things. Okay. So there's a couple of options we have. We have an option of extending the color palette definition to actually have alternate styles. Right now, it's just a string of colors. And I did that kind of to keep it simple. So we have the 3 pages, right? So there's 2 main ways of doing it, right? 3 ways. One way would be to have a parallel array similar to pages, which has button override styles, right? So it says, okay, it's instead of just putting the color on the button, do this with the button. And then has undefined for all the other ones and just put the color as normal. That's one way. The second way is to say, okay, this is either a string, then we reuse it for the button, or it's an object with a color or 2-element array or whatever, and styling for the button. And then it could become more complex, like a callback function or whatever. Then the third way of doing it would be to just have some clever logic saying, hey, transparent, just handle separately, right? Now, to be fair, it is quite likely that I probably want to have different colors for the buttons than for the what's being displayed anyways, right? So the question then is basically, do I want to roll them into one or have them 2 separate things, right? That's basically the question. The real issue is that these are going to have to be transparent. And that's why they're going to have to be different colors than what's on the buttons, because they're going to look brighter, because they're going to be semi-transparent against a white background. Because otherwise, things like that circle, they just bloody disappear, right? And that's not actually what's happening online right now. In fact, let's have a look what this looks like online. So if I go to SudokuPad, like that, and I put a color on this, yeah, you still see the circle because it is semi-transparent. And that's kind of, I think it's a necessity, otherwise it's chaos, right? So now I'm just thinking, do I want to turn these all into objects? Because I can even go a little fancier and have this letter also be part of the colors. So we could do something like colors and just have a linear list of colors and then have it be as many pages as necessary, right? So we could do something like this, have an array of colors, right? And then we'll have objects where we have something like symbol. So for example, a 0, color, this, and then button or icon or whatever, right? And then the button would be either a style definition or nothing, and then it would just fall back to the color. And then the button could be something like this. And, you know, it's obviously longer, right? Because there's more stuff in it. And then we'll do that 30 times. It's much less compact than this format. It's clearer. It's easier to parse. Now the symbols maybe shouldn't be in the palette, although one advantage of that is that in the future we can do even other things with this. We could make it a little bit more compact by just making these arrays of 3 elements, right? First element is the symbol, second element is the color, third element, you know, so we could just turn this into something like this. But having it as JSON makes it extendable, and the compactness is not really important. let's see how big that would get. So if I go to what's the global function? The global dot default palette. So if I do this dot pages 0, I do this, right? Isn't that just gonna give me all the colors? Yeah. So if I do this, and then we're mapping that, and we're gonna use the color vals as well. We're gonna map this color, and now we're gonna have a symbol, gonna have a color, and then we're gonna have a button, and the button is gonna be set to color, and the symbol is gonna be color val I, and that's not C dot. It's gonna be this one. Is that gonna give us? Is that gonna give us the thing as JavaScript? And then we're gonna do JSON dot stringify. No. We're just gonna do that. Nope. JSON.stringify map concat. Did I not just change that? Hey. No. Space. Boom. Console.log. Sorry about this mess. I'm just trying to. Oh, yeah, there we go. You know what? That's not actually what we want. What we're gonna do is. Sorry, I'm gonna do that up here. This has gotten a little bit too weird down there. We're going to take these guys. We're gonna stringify these. Console.log, and then we're going to join them with line feeds like that, and that's going to be a much better way of doing it. Right, so we're going to take that, and then that's going to go in here, and the colors like that, right? And we're going to change all of these. Actually, I'm going to do that over here. Where was my little notepad here? I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change all the double quotes to single quotes. We're going to change all of these to regular because we don't actually need JSON here. We want JavaScript. I'm going to change all the colors. We're actually going to change all of these strings to space here, place all. All the semicolons are going to be the space. And then all of these guys are also going to have spaces in appropriate places, like that. All right. And then we want commas at the end. Like that. This one is shorter because it's, because the transparent white. And then this is our test for having a custom button background style thing, right? And in theory, we could make this the CSS text itself. But for now, let's just look at it this way. And maybe this makes more sense If somebody wants a color palette with multiple pages with fewer colors per page, I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll think about it, because it might make sense to have like, hey, here's the page for. Yeah, I don't know because it might make sense to actually cycle through the 30 colors, but not 10 at a time. You know, so you have your palette for your even odds and so on, and then kind of the functional palettes and things like that. Let's worry about that another time. So for now, that's our color palette. And how does this work for now? Because one advantage of having the symbols customizable is that I can make a custom palette, for example, to move the default colors to the last page without existing puzzles looking weird, right? I think that's the advantage of putting the symbol with the color. Yeah. All right, so if we, instead of using the pages now, use that, and this is mostly for assigning this thing here. So we have color get color here. This dot get color. Now get color looks at the current page, and we can probably do all the shenanigans in here, right? So we have a val, we have a page, and we have a color index. And the color index is the 0 through 9 color, right? And the val is the first. So the val is now what matches the symbol, really. Excuse me. So now we should be able to do palette.colors.find sim like this. Sim equals val. And now I don't know if that works correctly, if the val is an actual number rather than a string. Probably not. So if I change this, and if I change that, now I'm getting this weird styling over here. So instead of doing that whole thing here, we can do val color. So if I do this over here, right? So let's not worry about this guy for now. Page is not defined. Yeah, we don't need page. Color index we don't need either. 1 second. Important image from our doggo. That might be very important. Okay, those are not recent pictures, but I'm guessing she just took the dog out for a walk, so she just got around to adding them to our photo album. That's not working at all. That's not working at all. What a shame. Shame. You know what? This deserves a brief excursion. And it should be in here. Yes. That's Toby earlier today. Oh my god, that mlem game. Oh my god. Look at that. Look at that. Sleeping dogs. All right. Where was I? Ah, yes, colors. So we're getting all of this. So let color, instead of doing this, so this was the prior code. What I'm going to do now is let color equal, we're just going to do this. We're going to find this by the symbol. And then let button color equal color dot button or color dot color. So if there is, and I need to come up with a better name than that. Palette, element, I don't know. Swatch? Somebody mentioned it the other day. So we can now output that. And now we should be able to just assign that here, and it should do the right thing. I think. So now we should have our dashed lines here. We got a black here, and we got a blank on the third one. Oh, but it didn't change when we came back to here. Shoot. Why not? Why not? Background. 1 second. So we just switched to here. Color 0. Button color, repeating yada yada yada. And then the style is set to that, supposedly. So I put that in here. And if I put the selector text here, what do these two look like? Something isn't quite right. So I cycle through and I come back to here. And what do we get? We get... Sorry, it's all a bit squished. Button color is this. Selector text is this. Oh, but the background is this, even though we've just assigned button color to it. So there's something about button color that's not okay. I think what happens is if the CSS is not valid, it won't assign it. Except it does assign it the first time round, unless that's still there from the CSS before. Is this not valid CSS for some reason? Repeating linear gradient, RGBA. Maybe the semicolon at the end is inappropriate. Very possible. Could be something silly like that. Yes, that was it. And now it's being updated. All right. Okay, so I have to remember this needs to be a valid background value, not a valid piece of CSS string, which is a bit of a difference. Okay, so now this is a little... Yeah. What is a color that's more than a color with metadata, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's not important right now. All right, so that means we can have the full 10 colors. We can still do custom styles for the buttons. It's just a little bit more complex to set up because whoever's setting it up needs to actually know how to do this kind of CSS. So the default will probably be... I wonder if I should still have it like an automatic translation of transparent becomes something special, maybe a red cross or something. I don't know. But it's evolving into the right direction, I believe. Now that I've added this, I should really get rid of that. I'm not sure if I want the pages to be explicit. That's the kind of the problem I have. I mean, I could just split these up into 3 and put them in here. Maybe that's the easiest thing to do. Or I could invert it and just put the page number in here. Or I make each page to be just a list of the colors that are on that page. Maybe that would make the most sense, right? So let's just do this like that. We have 3 pages, right? And then the first page is 0, 1. Ugh, I hate this. This is gonna kill me. Slowly doing this. This is no, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I cannot do this. I'm just gonna do this. All right, I'm gonna do don't split. Like that, and then I'm going to do JSON.stringify. No, actually, I'm gonna do dot join with this like that, right? And then the rest I can do by hand. The rest I can do by hand. So, got that, and then we got that, and that's our 3 pages of colors. Like that. Now, obviously, everything that's interacting with the pages needs to be adjusted accordingly. So this is probably just going to die in all sorts of places. Yeah, that looks kind of cool, actually. We have get color. So that takes a value like this and turns it into the actual color. So get color should be easier because we can just do the find that we did down here. In fact, what we could do is we could make the get color just do the find. And then the thingamajig, the user of that needs to figure out what they actually want to do, right? So we can just do a return of this. Right? And then wherever we're using get color or dot pages, where else are we using dot pages? Wait a second. Where do these colors come from? 162 node list. 162 node list. It's fine. Update button pad. Update color scheme. Set palette. This thing needs to get the colors from somewhere, right? Create palette icon colors. So we have create palette icon colors. Where do those colors come from? Icon colors. Keeping the artist palette metaphor, maybe color plus meta object is a splodge, a dab, or a blob. Well, blob is binary large object, so a dab. I don't know. None of those words like would make me think of what they are, so I'm not familiar with those words. So I don't know. Color data, maybe. I'll keep it boring and explicit. Update palette button. Create palette and update palette button. Update palette button pages. Pages. Current page. So that gets us the color values. So we should be able to then just convert these. So colors.map val. Make that explicit as well. Val this.get color val color val dot color, and that should sort that one out. And then everything else is just going through this thing, right? Ah, wait. Dot get color. Dot get color value. Dot get color. Get color. Get color paths. Get color value. Get color value. What's get color value? Get color value. Color and page. Color and page. Get color value. I have a feeling that I actually want to, instead of making this an array, index them by the color symbol. Does that make sense? Do I ever need to just iterate through them? Not really. So basically, I'm just saying then this should be 0 thing, and this should be an object. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. And then we just stick these in there. Gotta love the manual work of generating data. I don't actually mind it. Sometimes probably not fun to watch, but it helps me to kind of keep a handle on things, to remember what I'm actually doing. And now I'm realizing I'm missing quotes because these are all... no, these are property labels, so they don't need quotes. So then I don't need to do a find at all. I just do a colors val. Boom, that's it. So get color is almost unnecessary now. So instead of get color, we can probably do this and then get rid of that. And can we do this? Probably. Right? Reading colors. Color vowels. Color vowels. Tool color 96. 96. Get color K. A, B, C, D, E, F, H, J, K. Cannot read property of undefined reading colors. Colors. So we have palette.colors and wow. Why should, with a K, reading colors of palette undefined? Oh, because here we don't have it bound. Ugh, boring. Get colors. All colors.find is not a function. Colors.find.find. Colors.find. All colors.find. So we need to translate the colors. Now. But actually we're gonna do a this.get color. And we're going to do a this.get button color. So in addition to get color, get color button. Button. Get color button. Get color button. And we're gonna do the whole button, or I'm gonna do const color equals. I'm gonna call them definitions or data. Let's just call them color data. I'm gonna do color data dot button or color data dot color. Or we're gonna do it color button, and then we're just gonna do this. Button or color, get color button. And then this is going to be this dot get color button val. And then we can get rid of all of these extra thingies. Okay. All right. All right, that works. That seems to work. This seems to work. This seems to work. Palette. Is that really gonna be super useful? So if I do this and then I just do this, and we can get rid of that. No, yeah, here we can get rid of it. Actually, here we just do a single dot color and just do that. Yeah. It's almost pointless. Get color value. Ah, yes. So get color value takes a color number and a page and returns that as an index. Now, we can now, in theory, do this without relying on this, right? So in here, color values, value, color page. So get color value, color and page. And color is the color index in this case. So if I go and just get color value. So that's always get color value. So it's not really get color value, it's get color symbol. Get color sim. And now it's basically this, isn't it? In it. Really just symbol. Right? And we don't actually need the page anymore. Val. And does this get color symbol? I'm guessing this is getting called from elsewhere. Because right now, these are all broken. Color. Update color scheme. Color scheme. How are these being set right now? Oh, yeah. Ah, wait. No, get color value. What was it returning prior? Get color sim val. Okay, color. Ah, yes. Color equals this dot get color C. Page C. One sec. Update color scheme. Update color scheme. Yeah, this works differently now. We don't actually care about pages anymore. Palette. Colors. We don't care about pages at all anymore. Colors length. Let's call color. Ah. Yada yada yada. Let me think. Colors. Colors equals this dot palette dot colors object dot values. Right. And you know what? This is not critical code, so I'm just gonna do this. And then we have a symbol, we have a color, and we have a button. And we don't even need all three, but for now, I just want to look at them. And mostly the symbol and the color. And then we want to look at color scheme. If color. This dot get colors. Wait, what? Clear property of undefined reading colors. Palette. Palette.colors. Don't need any of this stuff here. So we basically just want to assign these symbols in the color scheme. So color scheme. Why did I check if get color? There was something here that wasn't working properly. So color scheme symbol equal color. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom, done. Right? Now, why is this just green? Because it's the green, I guess. Ah, the buttons aren't updating. How did I break that now? Color scheme. First of all, let's have a look at the color scheme. Make sure we have our 30 colors in here. Okay, now those don't really change. So probably reassigning them here is silly. We could actually check if they've changed, right? Render cells true. If type of, okay, update color scheme. Once because what would it look like if we're changing to a color scheme with fewer colors? We don't actually care. Yeah, I think for now we're just gonna set these. It's such a cheap operation. I'm not even gonna worry about it. So we've got this, but our buttons aren't getting updated, right? So update button pad. Log. Okay. Color val. What is it returning? Is it not returning what it's supposed to? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are the values 1, 2, 3, 4? Why are these not changing now? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Aren't they supposed to be get color symbol, button value? What's going on here? Button value. One, two, three. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Ah. No, now we need to now we need to translate the pages from the button. Yeah, so we gotta go, okay, this is button dataset value. Update button pad. Button val. Get. No. 1 second. We need to know where the existing button value is. All right, so this is because we need to find the CSS rule for this button. But we're now changing what the button is going to be. And here was, yeah, so this is the new value needs to now come from current page index, right? Except this value will change. So we don't actually want to use value here, right? We want to use the index of the button. Except here, I found a way of not using it. Color vals, button val, yeah. So we don't actually want to do that. We want to go with, want to go to the source. We don't want to have to worry about what state the button is in right now, whatever. We only need to do that for the actual selector. So now, and it's getting late and my brain is starting to get a little slow. Basically, right, we have an index, and then we have a palette dot pages current page, and then IDX, and that should give us the symbol of the color that we're interested in, right? So 5F 4O, and then this is the same. Okay. So that is our button val then. Instead of this, we want that. And then from there, everything should work again. Except, not like that. So either we shift the index or we go by... Or we go by the... We could reverse engineer the button value, so then it doesn't matter where the button is and what the position is. I'm tempted to use the titles as our sort of fixed, hey, this is the button. So we either use the title or we did do what we did earlier with the index, where we knew that we're adding 1 and we're modulusing it on 10, I believe. Right? Because we know the 0 is the last button. And then it's back to this arrangement. Get button symbol doesn't exactly do what it used to now. Do we need to change that or get rid of it or something? So we have get button symbol. In fact, I don't think we're using it anymore now. So that was the only thing we did with it. Attempt to get rid of these two as well because they're just basic lookups now. Or at least, you know, let's see, get color. How many places do we use that? We use it here for this mapping. Get color with argument. Get color. So it literally is just being used here. So we could literally just do const val to color, and it's just, you know, this. Right, and then we can just do const colors equals this dot palette. And then we'll just do val to color here in the map. And we don't have to do any silly bindings. Right? And now get color is as a standalone, as a direct property, direct whatever, it's not used anymore. And got color button, I think, is only used in that one place here. So I don't think we need that as a thing anymore. Get color pass, that just takes an array of colors, that's independent. So we can just do this. And we can just use palettes up here. ID, name, pages. Is that being used? Name, ID. I don't think any of this is used, but pages is being used. Okay. Then we might as well. Pages. Colors, pages. Colors, val. And then this is just going to be button or color. Like that. Right? That should just work now. Val is not defined. Zip it. Where? Where is val not defined? 92. Val to color. Oh. Function. There you go. Cycle. Put a maroon. Yellow or gold, get rid of gold, get rid of the yellow, delete, put a 1, put a 0, put another 0 and another 0 and a 1. All right, so that all seems to work. Color scheme, actually I'm going to keep the warn on that because I want to see how often that actually happens. All right, and so if I go through the tools, now update button pad, create button icon. Create button icon color vals. So the button icon now gets these guys. All right. All right. Yeah, that's actually not a big deal. Right. So we probably want to change this a little bit. Let me see. regarding those rounded corners, yada, 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 right? If I do a transform scale 0.8 scale, I'll probably have to change the transform origin, right? Yeah, transform origin equals, I don't know, is that 0.5, 0.5? Is that how I write it? Nope. SVG transform origin. How do we set up the transform origin? As a property, as a CSS thing. So we can put a transform in there directly as a property, right? Origin. Transform origin. Okay. Can I see an example of it in use? Okay. So 50%, 50%. Something like this. That should do the trick, right? Yeah. And 7. Now rounded corners. Can I do SVG clip path rounded corners? Don't know how easy that is to set up in a small amount of SVG. Clip path, polygon, inset, round. Ooh. Inset with round property. Inset with round property. But what is that? A property? A transform? SVG inset round. Inset shadow, SVG circle stroke inset, inset shadow. Yeah, I'd like to have it rounded corners on the button, just kind of to differentiate it from the cells themselves, you know? Stroke inset. I don't know if the inset is just a straight up property. ID inset shadow. Inset shadow, no. Inset. Inset shadow. No. Inset. Inset. Round. Clip. Clip path. Inset. Maybe this. Inset. Clip path inset. Alright. So maybe I can do something like a clip path inset something yada yada, right? Is that what it implies? Ooh, okay, that's not what I meant. Inset. I don't actually want it. Oh, wait, maybe I do want to inset. Maybe I can get rid of the transform. If I put an underscore here, that should get rid of the transform, right? But it might also break everything. Okay. And now 0. If I make it 0, 0, 0, like that, and then round 20%. Can I use percentages here? Yeah. And if I do an inset of 10% all around with a rounding of 20%, and it's slightly different than the button. And if I do instead of that, I do 1 rem. If I do 0.5 rem. Is that the same rounding as the button? I think it is. And then if I do 0.5 rounding here as well, keep it in rem units so it's similar to the buttons. It looks weird, right? It doesn't look like it's the same amount of rounding as the button itself. Or is that just my eyes deceiving me? Color, position, padding, user, line. 0. No, it's 0.5 rem on the border radius. If I do this, would it be aligned? It's not 100%, but it seems pretty close. All right, so that's the same rounding as the button itself. It looks weird. The round corners are part of the purple button, not the icon in the button. Yeah. Well, either way, the clip path does the trick. So I can put the rounding to 0, right? And it'll still work the same. So we can do this, and then I can always bring it back at any point in the future. I wanted to make it bigger than the colored squares, because obviously, if it's too small, you won't be able to see the colors in it, right? Now, the one thing is the transparent, it's not super noticeable, right? And it's a bit odd in the position in the upper right, but that's just how the circle, because it kind of starts from this one weird angle, right? Yeah, but actually this is getting pretty close to what I wanted, to be honest. Now this is completely without the old feature, right? The feature is completely ripped out right now, so you can't even disable it, right? And I'm trying to think if there's a reason why somebody would want to disable it. I don't think so, right? Because I mean the only disadvantage really is that it makes the button a bit smaller. The delete button. Because we're shrinking the delete button to make space. But I think this is gonna be more or less, you know, with the letter tool and stuff, I think most of the tools are gonna get a small delete button anyways. And that's not a big deal. And right now, the nice thing about it is, if you don't touch anything, it will work exactly. Like, if you don't do anything, if you don't change the palettes, it will work identical to how things are at the moment, right? So I think from that perspective as well, that can work. Now the update, yeah. Now what I don't have right now is changing of the actual palette yet, ironically. But that's not a big deal. I need some extra time to do a interface for that. So my goal right now for releasing this is actually shape of a traditional palette, or is this? Yeah, I don't want to make it small because I want there to be enough space to actually, you know, see the colors. Now, one thing I'm realizing right now is the idea of the palette originally of the button was, well, it doesn't actually make a lot of sense, right? Because the button just shows you the colors you have, and that's actually pointless because you know what the buttons are, right? What the colors are. So the button should really show you the next set of colors that you switch to, at the very least. Ideally, you would see all, like, the next and the previous set, but you can't go back, right? Or even multiple. So actually, we want the button to show the next set, not the current set. Update power button. So we kind of name ID. We don't create current page. So we really want to do. So we're gonna do. Button palette. So these can be const. But we cannot do const next page equal current page +1 modulus pages.length. And then we actually want to run next page on the button. So the button shows you where you're going. Not, there's no point because you have the colors already on the keypad, right? So then, yeah, so that's the next button. Next. And then this goes back to the, I mean, I don't know. It's a little confusing. I was also wondering if it makes sense to split the button, like have two buttons, kind of like a next and a previous or something. And I mean, obviously for keyboard users, I could do things like if you're hovering over the button and use the scroll wheel, it just goes, you know. Now that I'm saying it, I want to try it. I mean, it's probably a stupid idea because it's like a niche use and it doesn't work on mobile and stuff. But I am curious. So there's a create button here somewhere. Create palette button. And then on handler, we should also do on scroll. Event console.orn scroll event. Now, I don't know if that'll work, to be honest. No. Handle on. I'm trying to remember how I'm managing like arbitrary event handlers in Framework. I don't remember, actually. It's been so long. So if when I'm creating an element in create element, create element. So obviously we have the generic handler. I don't know what that question mark means, and I don't know how to get rid of it. Like I clicked it. Okay, Alt click removes it. No idea what the question mark is for. Handlers. Add event listener. Change handler. Add event listener. Add. I might have to add externally, right? Yeah. It would probably make sense to have like be able to pass in handlers and then label them, right? But no, button palette. There we go. So button palette, add event listener. Now we have to be a bit careful because this is going to add every time we're updating the button, this is actually going to change, or it's going to add another event listener, I think. All right. I don't. Is it on scroll? No. Event scroll. What's the event handler for scrolling? It is scroll. Add event listener scroll. Add event listener scroll. Use the event name in methods like. So if I click here and then scroll. That's middle click. Why does. Oh, because. Why does scroll not work? Is it? Add event listener scroll. I have a feeling that maybe we're not getting the element back that I thought we are. Button palette, it's a button. If I look at elements, and I look at the event listeners, and I look at scroll, we have this. Event, console born, scroll. It's possible that the scroll event is being grabbed elsewhere. Doesn't look like it. There's something not quite. Note, now your scroll events are not fired while scrolling is taking place. They're only fired after scrolling has completed. This is so silly. Like, you can't actually do scrolling. That's so weird. Generic event. Scroll event. Request animation frame. Set time and custom event as follows. So, add event listener. I didn't misspell this, right? Event listener scroll. If I put this on the window as well, window dot, does that work? So I don't get scroll events. I thought I would. I thought maybe that I was grabbing scroll events elsewhere. Or maybe I'm disabling event capturing somehow somewhere. Basically, I was thinking, hey, maybe I can use the scroll wheel to change palettes. But apparently I can use the scroll wheel for anything. Why does this not fire a scroll event? Okay, what if I go somewhere else, like a GitHub page, put this here? Yeah, here it works. So that's probably something I'm doing that disables scroll events. So what could that be? JavaScript scroll handler not fine. I'm sure there's some basic stuff. Some issue. This code is correct. Already answered by undefined. Add event listener, but it was not working because scroll event wasn't firing since my body was scrolling instead of document element. I just removed height 100 front detect and the scroll event started firing. Capture mouse wheel. Oh yeah, there's a mouse wheel event. That's what I'm wanting. I don't want scroll. I'm an idiot. That's the problem. Blobs, you didn't tell me. You did not tell me. I blame you. All right, here we go. So we have a delta y, and if I scroll up, the delta y should be negative. All right. Now, one of the problems is every time the palette changes, you now will have an additional handler. Create palette button. I think create palette button. When is this being fired? Because one of the issues I'm seeing here is that it checks if the button already exists. And when it already exists, we would double attach it, but it will never already exist. So none of this code isn't that if not equal no, we're just gonna remove it. Play it safe. Now we're gonna create a new button. And then we're going to assign a wheel handler. And we're going to handle that somewhere. Right. So handle palette toggle. Handle. I guess we could just do it here. So event dot delta y. Palette toggle. All right, so we can do delta y greater than 0 becomes -1, else becomes 1. So then we can do this basically. Next page equals this dot current page event dot delta y one sec, const palette current page equals this. So current page pages.length, and then we're going to output that, and then we're going to set that. Now, one of the issues with that is that scrolling tech generally is much faster than you would want to, you know, so we'd probably have to next page -1. Wait. That. So down 1 1. So it's gonna be pages.length. Then we're just gonna add length, right? So we want to go down If length is 3, we want to go to 2 from 0. We add 3. No, we're going to add length minus 1. 0, 1, 2. I'm scrolling down. 0, 1, 2. I'm going up. 1, 0, 2, 1, 0. So you could do this. I don't know. Does that make sense? I mean, is that gonna be too easy to, like, as you're moving your mouse around, you accidentally change the palette when you didn't mean to? I think it definitely needs to be one click, though. Like, one tick on the scroll, we change the palette. But that way, like, I can do this, right? But I could have, like, you could combine the mouse and the keyboard to do this kind of thing, right? I'm just hammering the same key. I'm just hitting 1 over and over, right? I don't know. I don't know. That's a that's a to be considered. How do I mark that? To do. Consider if we should even have this. All right. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of our logging on do press digit 4087. So that no, that's 4. That change was actually super minor. So that's something I could even uplift. So that's the only real change. We had to change this as well. So that actually is a transparent color in there. We've moved that to 2 tool colors. And I'm tempted to just get rid of the multi-palette stuff now. It's an hour. I mean, this needs a lot of tweaking, and I didn't accomplish to get the actual color palette in here that we talked about. The other thing also that I'm not entirely certain about is that currently the colors are defined in the CSS here. And I don't know if we should just call it. We could define all of them as variables as well. That's the other thing, right? And we could do both the buttons and potentially the color in the thing as well. So we could change the colors from being directly assigned to the cells to being assigned via their letters, you know, color values, class, you know, color class. And then have them defined via CSS, which would make it a lot easier to mod. And that's maybe what we want to do, actually. Now, one thing I need to see now, because the original setup was they had 0.6 alpha, right? Which I kind of removed now. But now I can easily put it back because now we have separate button and internal colors. So 0.6 times 255. And then we'll have 2 fixed or 2 string 16. And that gets us 99. So 0.6 opacity is basically a 99. Yeah, it's gonna use single thingies, but can't do that. And at least on the, if I do this on the default colors, does this go back to looking like what we're used to? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we have the fainter colors here. Now these are brighter, I think, than what we're used to. Let's get in the same shape. So if I go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I compare this and to this, because of the pen tool, let's get rid of the pen tool. So if I go compare these two, the button colors are basically the same, and the board colors are the same. Yeah, so it's the 0.6. Transparency. And then the problem is, if I make the transparency part of this, then people who create the palettes basically have to also know about that. And it's not gonna happen, right? So I potentially have to force the 0.6 transparency on the color palette. And then reverse engineer the colors for the buttons to be the brighter or the darker version of them, right? Although, currently, these seem to be the non-transparent version. Right? Yeah, they don't seem... They seem to be identical. Whoop. So people seem to be okay with the colors here not matching down here perfectly. Yeah, that's something I haven't quite figured out yet. How to enforce the transparency while maybe still enabling a certain amount of control to let people not have the transparency. If I do it like this, obviously, then people could change it in the palette editor. In the palette editor, probably it probably needs to have sort of a sample of what it would look like placing these colors on top of various elements and stuff, so people do not just end up with impossible situations, right? Yeah. All right. So the main to-do items, and let's actually do that before we finish, and we're gonna finish any moment now. That's for sure. So there's gonna be one last, and the real major part now is the default colors, and I think it might be worth like determining the whole thing, and it's not even gonna be the final one. It's gonna be just what I put out in the first version for people to test on beta. And probably what's going to happen, because this is a major update, so what's going to happen is I'm going to push the current version to release before merging this into the test version. And then because there's been and I'm glad I held it back so long, because there was a few things where I realized, oh, completely broken, right, on Safari and whatnot. But that's all fixed now. So now I'm ready to release what's on beta and then put this into beta, and then maybe try to keep it to just this feature, because it's such a big thing. So many people were waiting for it. I'd like for Simon to use it on video, using the beta software. Try it out first for a puzzle or whatever. See how he gets along with toggling through 3 palettes. And there's currently no display. In fact, now that I'm saying it, maybe we can... I don't want to put a number on here, but maybe we can have like 3 hollow dots, and then have the one that's the current one kind of so we can have a current or like a page and or our count. I'm gonna write it out. So page number page count, and then with these two we can potentially draw something in there. So we're gonna do oh, but the problem now is the button is showing us the next page we're getting to. But should it indicate which is the car? It should really imply the symbol, like, we want to know which color palette this is, so we can communicate that to somebody, right? So there's a bit of a conflict there, that the button will show the next palette, but the symbol should show the current one. But let's see what this would look like, right? If I put these down here in the back, so if I cycle through this, it should say 1 of 3, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 0 of 3, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 0 of 3, right? Page number, page count. Page number should be, do I want it 0 based? Yeah, we're gonna 0 base it, and then we're gonna translate it here. And now, inside this SVG, it's going to be a little messy. We actually want to draw a circle, which is a little annoying. SVG circle. I think we need to use arc. Oh, no, there's a circle? Ah, maybe there's a... for some reason, I thought there might not be a circle. All right. And then that goes into a separate group. And a circle is going to be relative to our view box 64 by 64. So if I do something like this, so we can put a stroke equals red here, for example. So that we have a circle down here, right? So CY would be 16, let's say. Okay. 3. Something like that. Fill. None. Okay. A stroke width equals 3. All right, too much. Back it up. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do page count of these guys. So we're gonna do oh jeez. I want to do this inline. So we're gonna do new array 3. We're gonna turn that into an actual array. And then we're gonna map it, right? So we're gonna do this, and we're gonna map it to these circle strings, and then join those. And we're going to have an index in here. And then CX is going to be 50. It's going to be 50 minus page count plus I, and 10 times that. 10 times that. That should get us an error, of course. Totally according to plan, right? Yeah, don't know how that got in there. All right. So that gets us 3 circles all the way over on the other side. Page count plus I. So page count is 3 plus I. So it would be, so I is 0 and it would be 3. I is 1, it would be minus I. Right. Okay. And it's probably going to be something like that. Ooh, no. Probably want to be a bit bigger. And it's going to be minus 1. Okay. All right. If I do this at 1 pixel. Okay. And then I can't believe I'm doing that inline as well. If I equals page number, then we'll do a thing, else we do another thing, and the thing specifically is going to be a fill. Red. And if I do this, okay. Now instead of red, we want to use our color palette. So we're looking at colors, and we're gonna do our controls button BG. So that's gonna be a var this. I don't know if I can do that as stroke or if I have to put that in. Yeah, I think that's right there, isn't it? I'm tempted to put it on fill and then invert the fill here. And then just, instead of doing that here, we're gonna do fill none here. Like that. All right, now the problem is this color is barely visible. So maybe that idea was terrible. What if I use button hover text? I use button text, right? I don't know why it does the selection differently on the CSS and SVG, I think. All right, white. Yeah. Then that way you always know which page you're on. The only thing I'm not sure is about indicating the colors of the next page here. And I'm also seeing these colors are transparent, which means I'm not using the button colors for this. So this should be button colors. Now the problem with that is the transparent over here might be a bit... I think... Can we do this? So it comes out as a black. Which is obviously not what we want. So this icon, right, has these 10 elements in here. One of which is gonna have this weird color. No, wait, why does it have 000? Oh, because it's the next one. Yeah, okay. So this one now will have this in here. What a mess. As a color and as a fill. Why does it set it as a color? That's just what? What? Get color paths. Color paths. Oh, is it really plug in here? Wait, not that. Get color paths. Render cell wedge. Render cell wedge. So render cell wedge. Render part. Color should be oh. I think I fixed that, but in main. All right, I don't think I'm gonna mess with that because I think that's fixed on master. So that's not a problem. All right. I don't know if the color property here is a problem though. I'm gonna remove that and see if that changed anything. It makes it white, which is okay because it is white. Except, so it doesn't seem to accept the color here. What if I put it at the end? Basically, there must be a way of defining the linear gradient as well as the color at the same time. That's a problem. For the icon, we cannot use linear gradient. Why does it work on these guys? Because this is not SVG. What if instead of a fill, I use it as a background style? I don't know if that'll work. If I change this from color to style, and then here that's background, and then fill, just delete background. Because I think if I make this background yellow, background, no. If I make this, yeah, so this has got to be fill. Yeah, and fill does not support repeating linear gradient. Shoot. So the options are to either use the actual colors instead of the button. Then it works like this. Here it's black. No, black. It's because I keep forgetting that it's 1 over. Then this one would be the transparent. It's a little dodgy. Trying to think, because we could put a background behind this, not just the purple of the button. So the transparent, it wouldn't just look purple here. The transparent would be then white or something, right? That might be more appropriate. All right, that's bloody details. I like the little circles. They might be a little in the way. So let me see if I can just squish them a little further into a corner somewhere. By the way, what did I do here? Oh, yeah, I added all this. Yeah, this little SVG here is gonna be a little complicated, so I'm probably... Wait. Oh, yeah. I'm probably wanna rearrange this a little bit into some kind of better structure. Don't know why that is here. I'm just gonna do this. So even without wrapping, you can kind of see what's going on. All right, and now the circles are gonna be a little smaller. I don't know if 2 pixels is too small, maybe 2.5. Ugh, they're so tiny. Let's keep them at 3 for a sec. Let's see if we can bring them up a little bit, just a tiny bit, so they don't cover the upper right thing too much. I'm wondering if I bring this, if I could overlap this circle onto the icon so they're more part of the button. Kind of like that. Oop. And then we could, nope, side scroll wheel, change the tabs, doesn't scroll sideways. And then bring him over just a little, off a circle width like that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that's pretty quick. And the scroll wheel. And that's GIF version, isn't it? GIF version? What? All right. To conclude, let's play the daily puzzle. So spoilers ahead for the daily puzzle. I'm just going to solve that very quickly. With the color tool. I mean, I'm obviously not going to be using the colors because, frankly, it probably isn't suitable. But just to see if I can play a regular puzzle, doing that with the new tool without it just terribly breaking, right? Probably want to have the console open, so if something does break, we have an idea. So, normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits and cages cannot repeat. Must sum to the total given. So that's standard. Killer cages. Lines have values. Okay, and then in between lines. Digits along the lines must have values strictly between the values in the circling of the line. So this one can never be at 1 and 9. 23 can only be done with 6, 8, 9. So I'm gonna breeze through it. 7, 8, 9, 4, 24 cage, 1, 2, 3. So for example, obviously this will have, whoops, this will have a 2 in the in-between. This will have an 8 in the in-between. So will this. This won't have a 9 there because of the 7, 9 over here. I'm guessing a lot of the other ones are gonna be like this. This can't be a 1. 1, 2, 3, same as above. So this won't be the 1. That will be the high one. So we have 3, 4, 2. So the middle one is either going to be 2, 3, and this one is going to be 4, 5. Right. What else we got? What else we got? We've got in between. So that's the high. That'll be the low. Unless, could this be a 9? This be a 7? Yeah, maybe. These are two relatively small numbers. And we said there can't be a 1 on the line, right? So these two need to bracket 2 and 4. So one of these needs to be a 1. Don't know which one, but one of them needs to be a 1. One of these needs to be a 1. So that, can that be an 8? Yeah. Right, maybe that's not where we're gonna look. So that's not a 6. So there's definitely a 3 in here. Interesting. And the 3 is always gonna be the middle one. So then 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 3 in the middle. 1, 2, 3 here. So that's not a 1, 2. So that's not a 4, 5. So that's our low and that's our high. Oh yes, and these are 4, 5, 6. By the way, do we have... I was thinking. Yes. We didn't have our pencilmark conflict checking on. 21. So these are all relatively high. So 8, 9 is the high one. Did we establish that this is the 1? Not yet. I don't think so. 3, 1 because of these down here. So that's going to be a 5. 1 to 5. No 5 here. 2 and 4. So we have 1, 5, 7. And we have... What's missing here? So this can't be a 5. 1, 7. I'm tempted to mark these in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 9. This can't be a 9. So this is either 1, 7 or a 6, 2. Now if it can't be a 1, this... Oh, wait, not 1, 7. 7, 2, 1, 8. 4, 2, 7. It can't be a 2, so this can't be a 7. So this is definitely low. So this has got to be high. So this has got to be a 5 or higher. So this has got to be the 1 then, right? Because one of them has to be a 1 on one side of the 2. So that's got to be the 1. Got to be the 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 6, 7, 9. All right. No 2s, no 4s, and no 1, 8. So it's a 3, 6. 3, 6. 6 here, 3 here. All right, so both of these have to be higher than a 3. 4, 8, 5, 7. Can't be 4, 8, so that's a 5, 7. So this is now an 8 or a 9. Can't be an 8, so that is a 9. All right. Nothing surprising there. So this has got to be a low number now. I mean, 7 or lower. Not super low, but it's not the 9 and 8. So this has got to be a 7 or lower. That's got to be on this between line, the low number. 4, 5, 6. And this is 7, 8. And this is 8, 9. And it's going to be a 6. We're out on this one. So now this has to be a 9. And these are 5, 7, 8. Sweet. I'm getting such a sore throat. We don't have a 5 in here. Like these. So there's a 9. One of these is a 9, so that can't be a 9. No, these can't be 9s. Also, we can't have a... Whoops. Can't have a 7 here. So we have an 8 in the middle, and then a 3, 9 on the outside in this order. And these are the remaining digits. So no 4 and no 6. 5. There's no 7 here. And these are 3 and 9. And these are 2, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9 are taken. Alright. 2, 4, 5, 6. 3, 9, 4, 6, 7. So 7s are in here. 5, 7. So these, could this be a 1, 7? No, it can't be a 1, 7. 2, 6 or 3, 5. 2, 6 or 3, 5. So that can't be a 2. That could be a 6. This is a 3, 5. Alright. So now no 3s, no 9s, and no 1s. Alright, so 2, 8, 4, 6. 2, 8, 4, 6. And then this is on the other end. So it's got to be a 4 or lower. 1, 2, 3. Be a 2. Might be a 3. So it's got to be a 1. It's got to be a 2. This can't be a 2, 8. No 2s here. And then this has got to be the other pair of the 7, 8s there. And the 1 needs an 8 to become a 9. Alright. 5, 1, 7, 8. So that makes this a 4. 6, 4, 7, 4. How do they say? Let Sven do the rest. I need to catch up on all the lingo around the new features and tools. I wish I had more time to actually watch all the videos. So I feel like I'm really behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Alright, 5, 7, 8. So we've got 8s over here. So this has got to be a 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. This is 5, 6, 7. And 4, 6. And this is 4, 7. These are 2, 5. Whoop, 5, 2. And this one is 3 or 9. All right. And now we basically just tidy it up, I guess. 5, 7. 1, 2, 7, 5, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, 4, 3, 9. All right, 9s. Let's look at the extremes. So we know no 1s on the line, so that's got to be the 1. That's gonna resolve a bunch of little things here and there and everywhere. All right, 3, 9, 4, 7, 4. Ones are ones done? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ones are done. Why is it not getting marked? Because that wasn't enabled. Okay, so 3s. So there's a 3 here. This has got to be 7, 8, 9, 7 or 8. So that can't be 3. So that's probably gonna be most of it now. And this has got to be the 8, right? Yeah. 5, 7, 6, 8, 5, 7, 5, 8, 6, 6, and 7. All right, 908. That doesn't sound very good. Oh, nope. That is a 2 party hats. All right. Well, nothing blew up from the color tool. Obviously, I didn't use it. Yep. I was going to write down here what we're going to do. So, determine default color palette, move colors into CSS, and use classes by color symbol, and create basic JSON palette import/export. That's really it, right? And that's probably going to be the next stream or sometime during the week. I'd like to get it ready earlier. I might put it up on alpha, so I'm going to post about that in the Discord chats for people who want to get really early look at this stuff. Maybe I'll, some of the other streamers like Ranks and whatnot might stream on it. So that would be posted on the Puzzle Plaza Discord under Sven discussion. I'll let you guys also know on the web app feedback channel, of course. And sorry if I haven't been super responsive to some reports lately, but I'm really worried about getting sidetracked before getting this big major update out. So yeah, I know there's some issues with the mobile apps, need updating and all this stuff, but I really want to get this feature finished since we're so close now. And I think it's looking pretty decent. It's definitely an upgrade. It doesn't solve really the fundamental problem yet. I don't think, people want lots of colors. I don't think they want as many colors as they think they do. There's still a usability issue. Ultimately, eventually, probably this keypad layout needs to change, but that's a bigger upgrade. All right. Blobs, really appreciate you hanging out for the stream. That's always appreciated. And all the new patrons, welcome. I am well aware that I'm overdue for some posts and some patron-specific rewards, so that's definitely coming. I really appreciate, it really helps me keep motivated and keep going. And that's it for today. Thanks a lot. Take care. Thanks for hanging out. I'm off for dinner. Take care. Bye-bye.